You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield. And Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 108 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast. My name is Andrew, and we thank you for downloading, subscribing, sharing, and of course, spending some time with us. If you've just found us from past episodes, welcome aboard. And thanks again to Terry Jones last week for joining us. Find all of our links and social connections on the new website, eskempire.ca. We are one of the many Canadian Football Podcast Network shows, and make sure you check all of those out. And you can find those on their links at CF Pod Network on Twitter. We have a lot on the show this week with a recap of today's game, which is interesting. We're recording the same day. Some Esks news, a new history segment, the CFL scoreboard roundup, our pick'ems for this week, and we are joined by a very special guest. But first, as always, taking the mystery out of the history, super fan Mike. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. That's quite a bill to live up to.
Did you like that one?
I do. That's something.
Every week I try to find something funny to put in there. So, but hey, we get to talk about a win.
We do. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Couple of months.
Yeah, the room feels positive. I feel lighter.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but yeah.
A lot less tears through the old face paint, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Extra gin for us. Hey, all right. Well, now, last week was fun. You got to do all of the editing and then had those wonderful internet issues. I hope that your mental health is back to normal now.
Well, I don't know what normal, but it's certainly better than last week.
Oh, good.
Wait, we'll see what happens when I edit this one tomorrow. So.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Again, this week, no Kayla, unfortunately, but that's she's kind of in the midst of a move, but should rejoin us very soon. Of course, more blogs from her you can find on the website, eskempire.ca. How many times can I say that in one show?
Let's find out.
All right. Website pick as well. I want to mention it one more time that Johanny gave us the picture for the website. I love that picture. Make sure that you grab her book, Our League, Our Country, at cflbook.ca. Of course, it's on Amazon as well, but there are only a few left, so grab it while you can.
Absolutely. Once it's gone, you're not going to see it again for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I think she wants to work on a new one, but she has to get rid of the first ones first. Yeah. So now's the time to pick that up. All right, let's get right to our guest, shall we? Kind of born into the Eskimos, but our featured fan has been around the team as long as he's been around. Welcome to the Turf District, the one and only Matt Mandrusiak. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely. No, this is fantastic. Now, of course, the last name, of course, for people who know the team, rather synonymous with the Eskimos. But do you remember kind of what your first memory is with the Eskimos?
Yeah, well, I've been around forever, so I'm sure as long as my dad's been around, I've been around. So I think probably my first memory that I can remember, although I know, I've seen pictures of myself, my brother in the Grey Cup when we were just young little kids and things like that. Maybe 3 years old for myself. I guess 87, I would have been 3 years old when I had pictures of me sitting in the bowl and everything in the cup. Wow. But the first memories that I have, training camp used to be at Concordia College for like the longest time. I remember hanging out there all the time with my dad. They used to have these sort of portables set up not too far from where the campus is, and a little walk away from the field. So I would be hanging around there with my brother, and we'd hang out in this little portable that my dad had set up for his equipment room and stuff like that. And we'd just sort of sit in there and go out on the field and goof around. And mostly we were just there for the cafeteria food.
Sure.
We were just waiting to go and eat. And then me and my brother would just sort of play pass and do different things and hang around with the guys and whatever. whatever. But and then it just sort of progressed from there as we got older and continued to hang around. We would certainly spend a lot of time in the locker room and had the likes of Benny Goods and Jed and all these guys, Larry Ruck, and everyone sort of chasing you around, Henry and all those guys that would sort of terrorize you, but kind of make it fun and everything. Throw you in laundry carts and do all this stuff. And so we got to hang around and grow up around the locker room, which was really cool. And there's lots of really old pictures of my brother and I and my dad, where he's wearing shorts that maybe are coming down to like where the pocket of your jeans would hang.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. We're in like these awful outfits ourselves, like neon and whatever.
It was the 80s, right?
Yeah, right. So we'd have all these sort of pictures helping him clean up and do all this stuff. But as far back as I can remember, like we've just been around and hanging out and having fun. And eventually it turned out to actually working with him and being a part of his staff and really getting ingrained in being there every day and seeing the real grind that he goes through as a head equipment guy and the work that goes into it. I don't know that a lot of people realize just how hard the hours are. It's different. I mean, the staffs that he works with are, now it's 4 guys. In the NFL, it's 24 guys. So
exactly.
It's a little different, but it was always the most fun. I mean, we had a blast growing up and being able to work alongside him and just have a lot of fun doing it together was great growing up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your fandom is going to be obviously different than a lot of people, having been with the team your whole life. So is there any one particular player, maybe a few players that are kind of favorites of yours, regardless of whether it's for what they did on the field or off?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can appreciate all of the great things that have happened on the field, but you get to know guys, especially working, alongside them and getting to really know who they are and where they've come from and things like that. A lot of the really cool guys are the kickers.
Really?
To be honest, yeah.
Wow.
Like Sean Fleming, Prefontaine was awesome. Sean White now is awesome. They don't necessarily do it quite as much meeting-wise and things as some of the other guys do, so they would be sort of hanging out with us or doing different things. So those are the guys you got to... And part of my role when we were sort of growing up and I was working with my dad, we would shag for the kickers. So we would catch and go out there. So I would be catching for Sean every day, and same thing now. I catch for Whitey when I'm around, and or when he's healthy at least. I played a lot of golf with Prefontaine when he was here. So I really got to know those guys really well, and they're funny. All kickers seem to be really funny guys and down to earth and really cool. But Ricky, Moss, Terry Vaughn was hilarious. There were so many good guys, Jason Tucker, but Singor. It's really hard to single one guy out.
Yeah, I bet.
But, there's the nice thing that I can remember, there really aren't too many bad guys. Mm-hmm. There's a couple, for sure.
Sure.
There's a couple of guys that you just go,
I think there must have been probably at least one in your first year that kind of comes to mind.
Well, that may not have been a player, per se, but more of a coach. But, there's been some guys that you just sort of shake your head and go, bud, what are you doing? But for the most part, the guys who are here, AJ Gass, these guys just keep all these memories coming back now, are all just really solid guys. They're here to play because they love the game. For some, it's a second chance maybe to get back into the States. Yep. But for others, it's just a chance to play and have fun and be part of that football atmosphere. And they come here, and certainly it's a culture shock, but man, they're all good guys. And that's really what I remember from my time around the team, is that there really aren't too many dudes that are just like, get away from me. Everybody is really down to earth and cool.
That's cool. I mean, I've heard a rumor that you were actually named after a former Eskimo at one point.
Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know for sure, but I think Matt Donegan was around when I was born. And
83 to 87, yeah.
Matt was... I really like Matt. I still get to see him every now and again. We talk on Twitter quite a bit, actually, mostly about his fashion choices on TSN, which I really like. I think he's well
dressed. The purple this week was nice,
outstanding. And I've complimented him on that in previous weeks, that I really like that jacket. So, but I would put up a random picture of my yard, and he would direct message me saying, "You got to trim that tree," or something like that. That's pretty fun. Like, and whenever he's in town, it's always nice to see him. It's not often, but if I see him at a Grey Cup or something like that, it's nice to see him. But yeah, I think that's the guy I was named after. My dad's never actually confirmed it with me, but I'm pretty sure that's the guy, and that's not a bad guy to be named after. That's for sure.
That's really cool. Now, you already talked a little bit about people don't know kind of what all goes into the equipment manager job, but what is like one thing just off the top of your head that you would say that most fans don't actually realize?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that they figure that there's something that goes into it, but the hours are crazy. Yeah. Ridiculous, actually. And my dad certainly takes the brunt of a lot of those hours. Yeah. He was overly generous to me and my brother when we were his assistants to, go back home to mom when we were living there and stuff. Right. And I think he is still pretty generous with his assistants. I mean, there's a lot of nights that he'll sleep at the stadium, and it's nonstop, especially today's a little bit better. They're flying back at a relatively decent hour. Right. But there's many times where you're getting home at 2:30, 3 in the morning, and you're at the stadium doing laundry for hours. Yep. Setting out equipment, getting it out, getting it out of the bag so it can dry out. And then guys are walking in again at 10 a.m. and you've maybe slept an hour on the plane. But the hours are crazy. The fact that it is a relatively small staff. When you look down south, I mean, there's dudes that have one single role. I'm the helmet guy or something like that. But it's not like that. It's a shared responsibility here. It's a smaller staff, so you've got to take care of. For us, it seems like 120 guys this year. Yeah. But there's a lot that really goes into it. But nothing worse than the amount of hours that you have to put in, for sure.
I would assume you put in like a full year's worth of hours in the 6 months of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's a grind. Those first couple of weeks, especially in training camp with, teams going 2-a-days, and it's a long haul, where you're at the stadium for camp, but you're there at 5 in the morning and you're not leaving until, after 9 at night, after all the meetings get wrapped up and everything else. So there's a lot that goes into it, and, it's certainly not for everybody. He's had assistants that have come and gone quickly. I bet. But really, I mean, a lot of fun. It's such a great gig to be a part of. And I know he's obviously enjoyed it. He's been around for 47 years, so it hasn't worn on him too much yet.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't think I've been to the stadium and not seen him around. It doesn't matter if I'm there early, if I'm there late. He's always there.
Yeah, that's good and bad, I think.
And that's in the off season. I'll be there in February or whatever, and there's Wayne walking around. So. Yeah.
Well, and he's been good. I mean, my wife and I have 2 young kids now, and the off season he's been really great at being able to go and pick them up from school or take them to an appointment or something like that where maybe we can't get off work. Yeah. So he's got that flexibility, but it always ends up that he just grabs them and takes them back to the stadium. So he's not gone for long. He just sort of brings them back and they get to hang out. But yeah, you're right. He's there all the time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Wow. So if you're ever there, just bring him a coffee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bring him a chai latte.
Yeah, I like that. He likes French vanilla from Tim's as well. And he's pretty easy to please.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been hearing rumors that Edmonton is up for the World Cup of Soccer coming up. And if that's the case, that they would remove the field turf and put in real grass again. I know your dad's sort of known as a guru for footwear for all the different possibilities that grass offers, whether it's rain or whether it's mud or whether it's freezing. What about you? And I mean, as a fan watching the game, do you prefer watching it on grass or watching it on field turf?
One way or the other doesn't really matter to me. Although I will say, having grown up around Commonwealth, I miss the grass for sure. I liked that a lot. I like that element. Now BMO's got grass again, and I think it's really neat to have a grass field back in the league. But it was always an advantage to us. Yeah. Even if the field was pristine and there were no issues, teams were coming in and having to think about what they were going to wear. Right. And that put us at an advantage right off the bat.
I agree.
And then we'd do stupid stuff, like we would have like a wet hose hanging out by the field, and Wally would get all fired up that we're watering the grass and all this stuff. And You'd walk through every game day. We would walk when we would get to the stadium. We'd walk the field, and we would hope that there were other teams' players within earshot.
Yeah.
You'd walk on the grass, and you'd be pretty quick. You'd know, okay, we need this stud today, or whatever else. But you'd just say something stupid like, "Oh, we need to go all long," and so it gets people's minds in a tizzy, and it was just one more thing to think about. But it would be cool to see if Edmonton is successful, or if the North American bid is successful for the World Cup. I would love to see the grass back for a year. But I think obviously the advantages of field turf are well documented, especially in the winter months. But I do definitely miss the grass. Yeah,
nice.
That's awesome. Now, so when you go to a game now, where do you sit?
I'm lucky enough that I'm still. My dad still lets me hang around as part of his crew. So
awesome.
I am still in the locker room and get to watch the game from the sidelines. Whenever you see one of those lackeys running out with water for the players during a timeout or an injury, that's typically me or my brother or his assistants Graham or Dan. So I still get to have the good fortune of having a really good seat for every home game, which isn't too bad.
It's definitely a different vantage point. I've been lucky enough when we had the preseason game at Thunderbird Stadium in UBC. I was sitting with Paul Reckner, who's been on the show a couple of times, right behind the bench. And it's very different than being up in the stands because half the time you can't see what's going on.
No, definitely. To actually see a play develop where a guy, makes his cut on his route and is open and to see the quarterback make the throw. You don't necessarily see that from the vantage point you would in the stands. You can still see it, especially if you do kind of know what's coming. But it does make things a little bit more different or more difficult to point out if you're not exactly paying attention to what's going on down there. But it's still I dig it. I mean, I think it's awesome to be part of just to be on the sideline and to know that Jason and his coaching staff don't mind having me down there still is nice. And just getting to see, all of the sort of in-game festivities and fun that go on down there is still a lot of fun for me.
That's awesome. So you were with the team for quite a while, and again, most of your life. Do you have any pieces of memorabilia or things like that at your home?
I do, not as much as my dad.
Right.
Like this setup here is pretty cool, but our basement at home, my parents built a house out in St. Albert in the early 2000s, and I'm pretty sure the idea was that the basement was built strictly for my dad's stuff.
Nice.
Because he's got stuff everywhere.
Well, 47 years, you can collect a few things.
And some really cool stuff, like certainly some CFL stuff, but hockey, golf, NFL, all sorts of really neat stuff.
Cool.
But I haven't taken to his type of hoarding yet. Most of the reason I know a lot of that stuff's coming to me when he passes away, so I need space as it is. But I still have a few things that I like. I've got the last jersey Jason wore in 2004. Before we switched over to the new template. I have that hanging in my basement with a nice little message from him that he had signed for me the day that he got traded to Hamilton.
Wow.
So he left a nice little message about the apple not falling far from the tree, and then proceeding to ask me if I knew what that meant. And I said, I'm not my dad. I know what this means. I have that hanging up, which is great. Moss was always kind of my guy, so that was cool. I have some footballs from past Grey Cups, the 03, 05, the ones that we won, both a game ball and then sort of the commemorative ball that everybody got when we got our rings with the score on it and stuff. And last year, one of the cool pieces that I got when we thought maybe Ricky was calling it a career. After that last home game, he came into the equipment room and we had a chat and took a picture and stuff. And at the time, he wasn't sure if he was going to come back or not. The Argos were in a bit of turmoil. So he was just like, I don't know if this is it, it's it. Who knows?
Sure.
So I got him, or we all got him to sign a ball. So I've got my Ricky Ray signed game ball there. So that was cool. But most of the stuff, I don't have a ton, but I have some memorable pieces.
Yeah, they all mean something.
That mean something to me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, man, that is fantastic. Well, I think after all of those things that you've already said, and you probably prepped for this question too, but we ask all of our fans that come in, all of our alumni that come in, What does the Eskimo Way mean to you?
That oddly enough, I was thinking about this today. I figured that this question might come up. For me, and I'm not sure what everyone else said, but for me, and this may sound cliche, but it kind of rings true for our family. The Eskimo Way does mean family to us.
Yeah. Myself,
my brother, my dad, my mom, my grandmother, my uncle used to drive the fire truck when it would go around the track. My Boona, my dad's mom, used to be the seamstress for the team. My aunt used to work in the ticket office. So it is like family for our family. And the club has been so amazing with us throughout, my dad for 47 years, and then my brother and I for 30-some that we've been hanging around. But it really does give that sense of family for us. They've been really close, or they've done a lot of great stuff for us. And I know the Eskimo Way I think has a different meaning for everyone. Mm-hmm. But it really is just for us one of those constant things that brings us together, us as a family and others in Edmonton that really enjoy Eskimo football and follow it closely. Just is that togetherness that has that meaning for us.
Wow. That was great. That was fantastic. Well, let's. I do want to get right to our game recap off of that, but first we did actually catch up with a couple of the guys before they left for Montreal. So let's go to our talks with Euclid Cummings and Hakuna Matata, aka Mulumba-Tshimanga. Just so that you guys know, there was a windy day as I was down interviewing the boys, and so there is some wind interference in the interviews, but I hope you enjoy these. All right, now joined by one of our beasts on the defensive line that joined us this year.
Call me a beast? Okay.
Yeah. I know how to suck up.
Oh, man.
Mr. Euclid Cummings, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing good.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit, because of course you've kind of been in a few different spots in the CFL now. When you was brought into Edmonton, how has it been for you, and what do you find that you like here?
I'm glad that I'm here in Edmonton. Basically, I would say it's like a dream place for me to be in, especially like because I fit into the scheme so well.
Nice.
It's a nice scheme where we can just get up the field and attack the quarterback. So that's why I'm glad I'm here. The people here is nice. It's a nice place to be.
That's awesome. Sure. And now you get to play alongside Mondo. And
Definitely.
Was that a big kind of push for you to be here? I know he's obviously, pretty well known in the league. So.
Yeah, I mean, just from, watching film over the past 2 years of him, I've always wanted to play next to a guy who's going to hold it down in the middle like that. So him and just, the coaching, it's all good. It's a match made in heaven.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I know it's been a bit of a slide here over the last little while. How do you kind of find your way through that, and kind of how do you get yourself motivated as you keep going forward?
You just keep pushing. I mean, you just take every practice day by day, every game day by day, and you just see what results you get out of that. And I mean, no one here is really shaken up about it. I mean, I know it's bad we lost 6, but everybody still here has confidence that we're gonna get to the end goal. So that's all we got to keep doing.
Absolutely, as do all of we. That's why we come and watch you.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's get to know you a little more outside of football.
Okay.
What do you like to do when you're not on the field?
I'm a pretty chill guy. I mean, like during the summers, I like to get out and do active, do some hiking stuff. I went to Pembina River a couple of times, did a little floating thing. But other than that, I'm a pretty chill guy. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
all right. You got a favorite movie? Something you like to watch?
A favorite movie. I can't really think of it off the top of my head. Maybe Coming to America.
Ooh, nice pick.
Good one. But my favorite TV show is Dave Chappelle, so I might watch some reruns of that.
No,
Sure.
That's a good pick. Are you kind of a comedy guy? Do you like to have fun?
Yeah, definitely. I love to laugh at people.
At, with, kind of both.
At, with, everything.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. What's your favorite food? What do you like to eat?
My favorite food is curry chicken and roti.
Ooh.
Yeah, my dad's from Guyana, so I've always grown up on that.
Nice. Has any of your family get to see you play since you've been on the Eskimos?
Yeah, my mom actually came here last week. She was here for the whole week.
Nice.
Saw our last game, so yeah, she's my number one fan. She come out.
Yeah. Been to every game.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. In college, she was at every game, but up here it's a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you play video games? Do you do anything like that?
To be honest, I haven't played video games since I would say 2005. I don't play games no more. I don't know. I guess when I was a kid, I would just always get mad that I didn't win. So I was like, I just stay away from the video games. Yeah.
After too many Smash controllers, you learned
to stay. All my controllers.
You and I feel your pain, buddy. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
If you had an hour to spend with anybody just to sit down and talk, who would it be and why?
An hour to spend with somebody. I would say Warren Sapp, but then I actually met him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah?
I would say maybe Michael Jackson, maybe
nice.
Just to get in his head.
Yeah.
Just to figure out, like, what happened. Like, I just want to know what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to talk to my boy Mike.
That's a good pick. Learn dance moves while you're there. I mean, you got to have sax celebrations. It's a good thing to practice. Yeah. What is your favorite sax celebration? What do you like to do?
It depends. Like, of course, I like the somersaults.
Of course.
And whatever is like whatever dance is like hot. So back like last year, it was the mannequin challenge where everybody was freezing.
Yes.
So like whatever's hot, I'll just do it and carry it over.
I'm waiting for the whip and nay then right away. No, I gotta
see whip and nay. That's about 2 years ago.
That's true. That's true. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
We've only been here for a little while, but we ask a lot of our players this: What does the Eskimo Way mean to you?
Oh, Eskimo Way. I mean, it's just to get it done. Whatever your job is, you got to get it done and some more. And we're just a hard-nosed organization. And that's what we strive to be. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. And good luck on Monday.
I appreciate it.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze.
We are now joined by number 10 rookie sensation on the defense. It is Christoph Mulumba-Tshimanga. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for coming to join us. Now, on the show, we call you Hakuna Matata, which means no worries. How has your first season been so far with the Eskimos?
So far, it's been good. A lot of experience I gained. A lot of mistakes and, ups and downs, bouncing back. But in general,
Awesome. Do you remember your draft day? What that was like?
yeah, I do. Actually, I was coming back from Tampa Bay.
Oh, wow.
So I was trying to follow the draft on my phone. Then when I landed in Washington, that's when, as soon as I landed, Coach Moss and Mr. Buck called me. And I was very happy. I was glad.
That's fantastic. So what's been the biggest jump for you coming up into the professional league?
I think the biggest one was definitely like the motion.
Yeah.
The motion to the receivers and also the speed. Again, when the speed is very different. I think that's the two major things.
The biggest thing?
Yeah.
Now, you've kind of had to be going in and playing at some middle linebacker, which you played in college. What do you find there? What is the biggest difference for you as you're doing that now?
I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable playing middle linebacker since I play all college and stuff. It's a lot more physical. And you're in the running back really, so that's what I love the most.
That's awesome. So now, what do you do outside of football? What kind of stuff do you like to do when you're not on the field?
When we have an off day, I just like to relax. Go home, watch movies, play video games. I like to work out. Go for a walk. But yeah, I like to FaceTime. I always on FaceTime. People at home and stuff. So I'm really relaxed. I just like to just lay in bed, sit on the couch, recover.
Nice. Okay, so favorite movie then? What do you like watching?
On the Pursuit of Happiness. That's
nice.
I probably watch 100 times in my life. I watch it every day if I have to.
Okay.
That's the greatest movie ever.
Very positive movie too, which is definitely super helpful. Video games, what do you like to play?
FIFA, NHL, Madden, all the sports games, really.
True Canadian, he puts NHL before Madden.
Oh, yeah,
that's good.
NHL number one, then FIFA.
Awesome. Xbox or PlayStation?
PS4. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. What do you like to do? Do you like to read anything?
Oh, yeah, I like to read. I'm reading a book called Faith Now.
Oh, okay.
He has a lot of books. So
yes.
I'd be asking him to let me have one. I'm going to be back to the end of the week.
Okay. That's awesome. And your favorite pregame meal?
Well, whatever we have, but usually I like to keep it simple. Pasta, like a little bit of cheese, veggies on it. Medium meal, I just like to keep it light, simple, not too heavy.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. Do you have any other rituals or things that are superstitions that you have to do pre-game?
Nah, just listen to the music, nothing crazy, just pray to the Lord and everybody be safe on the field. And other than that, not really, just get ready. You know, I know what I got to do, so I just stay focused and enjoy my Saturdays, my game days.
Awesome, man. What kind of music is that you're listening to?
I like French rap. I listen to French rap a lot.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
So that's my thing.
Excellent. Any artists you can recommend for us?
Yusufa, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll look that up.
Et si ce pays me pousse à la faute, à cette occasion mon avocate sera Olivia Pope. À ce qui paraît c'est notre faute, ça me concerne. Tous ces jeunes dans mes concerts qui font du bruit à cause de moi.
So what keeps you motivated during the games, especially after 6 losses in a row?
Just having fun. Like, to be honest, it's just, obviously it's hard when you lose, but you just gotta keep having fun because it's never over until you say it's over. So you just gotta keep playing, keep fighting, and you know, there's bad times, there's good times, and now it's just a bad time, but it's gonna come up.
Yeah, of course it is. If you had an hour to talk to anybody that you wanted to, who would it be?
Probably Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas. I don't know who that is.
He does motivation speeches and stuff.
Okay.
So that's definitely somebody that I want to talk to because, you know, I listen to him before games as well, and he just like keep me focused, keep me motivated and stuff. So Eric Thomas is, you should listen to him too. He's a great person.
Fantastic.
Great speaker.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time with us. We definitely appreciate it. Good luck on Monday, and we'll hopefully be cheering you on for a win when you get back.
For sure. Thank you so much.
All right, those guys were so much fun. It was cold out. I think I froze my brain a little bit from asking a few more questions, but they were both amazing. And yes, he is okay with us calling him Hakuna Matata. So that's the most important thing. Now let's get to the game in Montreal. So the Esks pull off the win 42-24. Not without some struggles, of course. They were down 15-0 early. But let's talk about a bit of the strengths in this game. Matt, what did you see as you were watching the game?
For me, it was nice to see that we just sort of didn't shut it down. Yeah, it was.
There's a chance to do that for sure.
Yeah, definitely, especially in those conditions. That is not fun.
Yeah,
to be there, to be down 15 after the blink of an eye, and having rain just pour down on you. That's not fun at all. So it was nice to see that bounce back, that fight. We've lost 6 games. It would have been easy to fold up shop, but I was really pleased to see that they just kept fighting and chipping away, and didn't look like there was a lot of panic, which is cool. Kind of reminds me of the 2015 Grey Cup where we got down. Maybe not as important a game, although it
really is for us. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was really nice to see them just sort of continue to fight and chip away and eventually bring it back.
Absolutely. Superfan.
I sort of was just taking notes during the game, and I thought of a couple of things. And
what? You made lists? I'm
shocked.
You know, yeah,
it's new.
Yeah.
For me, the O-line didn't allow a sack this game.
Good point.
And that's been, I mean, there were certainly some pressures, but not nearly as many as we've seen in previous games. I think it was maybe one of their best games as a unit for certainly a couple of months. And on defense, for the first time in a long time, we started to make plays on defense. So it wasn't just that we were slowing down the other offense. We were, tipping the ball. We had a couple of forced fumbles, a couple of interceptions. And I think that really turned the tide for us, for sure. It really lifts up that bench for the offense when they see the defense making these turnovers.
Yeah, that was great. And I think Odell had one of his best games in a while.
A couple of sacks.
Interestingly enough, as he had Hunt on the other side and not Chick.
Yep.
And I don't want to take anything away from John Chick at all. But we were saying that early in the season, that combination of Hunt and Willis just really seems to gel well with those guys in the middle, and it really showed today.
Yeah, and of course, rotating in Earthquaku.
Of course.
He had one of the tips that Bowers picked off.
Yeah, that was a great play.
And, he seemed to be always within reach of the quarterback when the ball was out or even when he got sacked.
I want to talk to you about my strength of this game, and this number
40
absolutely
proof? No.
shocked me. Yeah, that too. 4 penalties for 25 yards.
Yeah, that's huge.
What have we said this entire 6-game losing streak? Discipline has been a bit of an issue. They wrapped it up the penalties that they took were not earth-shattering.
Well, that one penalty that Bowers took when he realized there wasn't enough
offside.
men on the field, that was brilliant.
That actually worked out really well, right?
So that's one of those penalties, right? So,
yeah, and so I mean, to only have 25 yards, that means there was no pass interference.
Well, there was one.
There was a 10-yard penalty.
It was a 10-yard one.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it means there was very minimal as far as huge penalties.
Right.
And
The
that has
correctable
been
ones.
a big Achilles heel. I know I shouldn't say that.
Oh, please
but,
don't.
For this particular team, we've had a rough go with that. So 4 for 25,
yeah.
I mean, I'll take it. Offensively, like you said, Matt, it took a while for them to get on the field before we were already down. But once they got going, we had 2 quarters in this game where we scored 16 points.
Yep.
One of them being the fourth quarter. I think that was huge in this game.
Yeah, definitely. It was, and as Mike said, it was really great to see plays being made.
Yes.
The couple of interceptions, getting to the quarterback, sort of flying around like that defense was early in the year. And I know there's obviously been a lot of shuffling throughout the season, but when the chips were down, they made plays, and that was really nice to see. I know the weather. Mike had 6 drops or something like that. The weather's a big factor in things like that. But the fumble from C.J. Gable definitely weather aided, I'm sure.
That's okay. He made up for it.
Oh yeah, he was great. But yeah, it was just really nice watching the game. My wife was a little bit on my case about how bad we're playing right off the bat. But once things started turning around, it looked like we had control the entire way. And even though we didn't really pull away until the fourth quarter,
right,
we still looked like we sort of controlled the pace. We got after them. They weren't really doing a whole lot. We sputtered a little in the third, but turned it on in the fourth. So It was nice to see us sort of take control again after the craziness of that 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
We had the lead at halftime. It's been a while, too.
Yeah, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll take it. That means we scored points in the first half, which was also important. I thought C.J. Gable, we already talked about it. I mean, he had the fumble, but made a huge impact in this game. 120 yards total on 23 touches and 2 TDs. I mean, you couldn't ask for more from a guy who just came in.
Yeah, he's doing well learning that playbook for sure. I mean, I love seeing us balance the run and the pass. And for like you said, a guy that's been here for like a week, to know that much of the playbook, to more than just you're going to block, you're going to run these 2 plays and away you go. He was bouncing around outside. He was running up the middle. He was catching that pass for that touchdown, cartwheeling into the end zone. He was just great to watch. And like I said, no sacks for that O-line, and I think he played a large part of that.
That's what I was going to say, actually. I think he played a huge role in the blocking scheme.
Yeah, best blocking back in the league, for sure.
Absolutely. And
maybe John White, too.
Yeah, you're right. Shouldn't take away from John.
Here he goes. Yeah.
Excellent. He loves to get his nose dirty with those two, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, the other part of that is we have this nice running game, which opened up some of the passing games. Zylstra with amazing game, 201 yards total. Of course, the TD as well. My fantasy thanks him very much.
Mine too.
And the guy just gets open. It's amazing.
Game after game. Teams know you're going to him. Yeah. And they just can't seem to cover him.
Enjoy him while we can.
Yeah. That's the downside. What about that pick 6? That was pretty bizarre play.
Yeah.
Bounces off the Montreal player up in the air.
The first one.
Edwards grabs it and then takes off. What a cool play that was.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, it was almost a lucky bounce, but how many times in the last 2 months would we have seen either dropped by the defender or tackled or tripped or whatever, and but the fact he was able to concentrate enough to get the pick and run into the end zone. He's been a hard worker all year.
Yeah,
he did great on kick returns today. You know what? Great for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit about some weaknesses or things that didn't go quite as well, because I'm sure you have a couple there, Superfan. I'll start with you this time.
Well, I mean, to me, the punting average was 28.4 yards. Again, for somebody who that's his specialty is punting, and he was leading the league for a while with an average of 49 or 47 yards. To be 20 under that, and his kickoffs. I mean, they were kicking off to our inside of our 10, sometimes inside of our 5. We were kicking off to their 25. So if you're having a 20-yard difference between kickoffs, that's
major
horrific.
Field position.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I mean, I would love to see that, and just some of the confusion when we had to take the time count violation and then lined up for a field goal. It was 54 yards. I feel really bad for that headset. I hope they got the extended warranty on those things, because Moss he seemed a little put out at that point.
He didn't throw it.
He didn't.
Hashtag hissy hut.
But he was blistering the paint on the walls in that room.
Oh my goodness. Any weaknesses came up for you?
Tackling didn't seem to be our strong point today. And again,
especially in the first half.
Yeah, and I get that slippery conditions make for difficulties there. But even so, it'd be nice to see us tighten that up a little bit, not allow quite as much in the run. Run game would certainly put a lot less pressure on the defense. So I think those are definitely two areas that we can clean up moving forward, and will be certainly very important as we get into some of the colder games coming up
for sure
over the next month.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that we gave up over 200 rushing yards between Sutton and Rutley. That's it. Yep. And so, I mean, kudos to them. They played very well, but we weren't really on them. And I think actually Dunnigan even mentioned that at halftime, that the tackling was not great. I wonder if
theirs was good though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And we'll give Montreal credit for that. Their tackling was great. I thought Gabriel Napton actually had a great game.
He did
for how things went.
Yeah.
I do think, though, as well, that possibly, though, we could be seeing a little bit of a benefit with the possibility of Corey Jones being back available at middle linebacker next week. He was a big part in stopping the run after JC went down early in the season when we were on that winning streak. So I think there's something on the horizon that may help with that particular weakness we found in this game.
Oh, I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, it was tough for Alex Hoffman-Ellis and Christoph Mulumba-Tshimanga not having a great game versus the run today. Like you said, though, the rain is definitely a factor, and if you're not prepped for it, I mean, they just ran over us. I think it just felt like Hoffman-Ellis was out of position a lot. It seemed like the run went one way, he guessed wrong, and then he just could never catch up.
Right.
And that seemed pretty tough. But, I mean, he's certainly a good special teamer and everything else, so I think that if he can just hold that fort down until Corey Jones comes back, and obviously we're not going to see Sherritt this year, but that's going to be a big help for us.
It does look like we may have Corey Jones and Brandon Thompson returning next week, though.
Be really nice. Good time to start getting healthy.
Yeah, that's going to be great for that secondary. I mean, we've got Grimes in one defensive half, Brandon Thompson the other defensive half.
Wow.
This could be, we just got to make sure the corners are locked down and we're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Things are looking up from that standpoint.
They're going the right way.
I'd rather be healthy at the end of the year than the beginning, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
All right, well, before we get to our other stuff, any other points you want to bring up on this one?
I thought Konar had a great game. He had 7 tackles. He had a forced fumble, which he recovered himself.
Yeah.
He had that amazing stop on their third down gamble near the end of the game. Just absolutely lit him up with that tackle. And he's, again, being very quiet. Brandon Zylstra is a guy that, for a guy that's in second place in receiving, he has been very quiet this year.
Yes.
And people never seem to talk about him. He's always in the shadow of a Bowman, of a Duke Williams, who's very flashy. But, I mean, he finally getting that recognition that, this guy is for real. And maybe they should be talking a little more about him.
Yeah, totally agree. Anything on your side, Matt?
No, I think it's just good to get back in the win column. I think we're going to build from this. I really hope this is a bit of a confidence boost, and I feel like that's some of the main element that's been missing over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So getting that winning feeling back and coming home knowing that we play in 5 days again may not be such a bad thing to go right back at it pretty quickly and try and get back out there and keep it going.
Absolutely. My last thought on this is the Riley possible injury coming out and Franklin coming in. Yes, I was always excited to see James hit the field. I still believe, just for anyone who might be thinking it, this is Riley's team.
Yes.
Riley starts if he's healthy, and he takes that on next week. The nice thing is, though, is that James gets some reps in. So if something is going a little off with Mike, or if he's having a bit of a rough day,
or he does get injured,
that's right. Then we do have that backup plan. So I just wanted to throw that note in. All right, let's take a quick break and be back with the Esks history, our out of town scoreboard, and this week's pick'em.
Hi, I'm Terry Jones. You're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Join the Empire today. Find us online at eskempire.ca. All of our social channels are there: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, plus our blogs, extra pics, and links to our Patreon page. You can also get more history at Esks History on Twitter or This Day in Esks History on Facebook. From the Empire team, thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Thanks for not going anywhere, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our new little transition plugs, having a little fun with some new tunes. Let's do a quick Empire Points update. The top 10 stays unchanged this week with Lord Touchdown out in front, but a new runner in Joel is about to crack the top 10.
Well, good for him.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, of course, everyone knows that they can earn Empire Points just by sharing the links to the podcast, leaving some comments not only on iTunes, but on the website as well.
Absolutely.
Do remember that the top 10 do get entered in a draw for your choice of either the game-worn Shamad Chambers jersey or the signed Darius Bowman jersey.
Absolutely. And we did actually get some comments on the website this week, both on the blogs and the podcast. So make sure you're throwing those in there and grab some Empire Points. Now, I was wondering, is the Empire Point system getting old, do you feel?
No.
No, of course not. But yeah, I do know what is old, and it's not you, Mike. But it does mean what you do. It's time for the Esks History segment.
Hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on repeat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome to another edition of This Week in Eskimos History. Today we'll be looking at some Eskimos milestones in the week of October 10th through October 16th. Looking at some Eskimo-related birthdays in the coming week. October 10th, friend of the podcast, Andrew Nowacki, receiver 2004 to 2011, turns 37. October 12th, another friend of the podcast, Singor Mobley.
Yay!
Safety from 1995 to 96, and linebacker 2000 to 2006 will be 45 years old. Still young. And on the same day, his former linebacking partner, Terry Ray, linebacker from 1999 to 2002, is 48. And October 15th... third friend of the podcast in this list, Graham Bell, running back, fullback, 2009 to 2010, also turns 37. Looking at some current Eskimos with birthdays this week. October 10th, Adam Konar, linebacker from 2015 to present, turns 24. October 12th, Marcus Howard, defensive end since 2011, will be 32. And two birthdays on October 13th. Arjun Colhoun, cornerback in his first season with the team, turns 25. And on the same day, his teammate and fellow rookie, quarterback Zach Klein, will be 24. Looking at some Eskimo passings that happen on this week. October 12th, 1972. Earl Elsey passed away after a few weeks shy of his 57th birthday. Elsey was one of the original 5 imports on the 1949 team, a veteran of the 1944 Los Angeles Mustangs of the original AFL and the 1946 Los Angeles Dons of the All-American Football Conference, 2 of the early rivals of the NFL. He was the first one signed with the club by new head coach Anis Stukas. Elsey started at halfback to begin the Green and Gold's inaugural season, but a broken arm sidelined him in mid-September, and he returned for the final 2 games of the season in late October, moving over to tight end. In 1950, the Western Interprovincial Football Union upped the amount of imports allowed from 5 to 7, but none of the 1949 imports were retained. This was the year that we signed all-star quarterback Lindy Berry, receiver Morris Bailey, and two-way end Roland Prather, and was the beginnings of the team that went on to the 1952 Grey Cup, the first in the history of the reborn Edmonton Eskimos. And looking at three important dates in the history of the Empire, October 16th, 1922, the defending Western champion Edmonton Eskimos changed their name to the Edmonton Elks during the season, as they are sponsored by the Fraternal Order, and changed their colors to the Elks Club's purple and white. The team again dominates the West and beat the Regina Rugby Club 13-8 in the semifinal before dispatching the Winnipeg Victorias 19-6 before ultimately bowing to Queens in the Dominion final. Edmonton leads Queens 1-0 at halftime, but could not finish them off, losing 13-1 for the final score, their second attempt to win the Grey Cup. Moving up to October 13th, 1975, Edmonton debuts a new signing in a game versus rival Calgary, which the Eskimos win 21-12 at Clark Stadium. Rookie Danny Kepley shines in his first game as the linebackers limit 1975 All-Star running back Willie Burden to 54 yards along the ground, and even more when Kepley scoops up a loose fumble 12 minutes into the second half, running it back to the Stampeders' 5-yard line, where Roy Bell punches it in 2 plays later. Kepley spent 10 seasons in green and gold and was placed on the Eskimos' Wall of Honor in 1987 and the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1996. And lastly, October 11th, 1985. Damon Allen has his first ever professional start, leading the Edmonton Eskimos to a 39-1 win over veteran Joe Barnes and the Montreal Concords. After building up a 38-1 lead, Allen gives way to rookie quarterback Brad Taylor in his fourth quarter in his first ever game action in the CFL. Damon went 18 of 26 for 258 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and added 59 yards rushing and another touchdown. Allen, of course, went on to quarterback the Eskimos to 2 Grey Cup wins in 1987 and 1993, and is a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame and a fan favorite throughout Edmonton. Thank you again for listening to another episode of This Week in Eskimos History. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Esks History, or find us on Facebook under This Day in Esks History. Until next week, fight on Eskimos.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
Thank you very much, Superfan. As always, let's do a quick update on the Joe Adarius for Autism Watch. Unfortunately, it's unchanged this week at $83.90, as Adarius didn't get a catch this game, and Bryant Mitchell was scratched. Don't forget, though, to check out the website, adariusforautism.com. They're selling some t-shirts, actually, and they can be signed by AD, and they're only $15. I do want to thank Christine for reaching out from Adarius for Autism, just to kind of let me know about that, and we'll try and promote anything that they've got coming up as far as events in the near future.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great cause, and he's a great guy.
Absolutely, and he's doing so much in the community, and as it turns out, he won the David Boone Award based on all of his work with this charity. So one day we'll actually get to talk to Adarius about it, but for now, make sure you're going to the website and supporting Adarius for Autism. Let's check our out-of-town scoreboard, shall we? It is brought to you, as always, by SeatGiant.ca.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you need tickets for a CFL game? Maybe a hockey game? Maybe a theater event? Just head over to SeatGiant.ca. You'll find tickets for anything, and it's all in Canadian dollars.
Now, Superfan, would we make our loyal listeners pay full price for those tickets?
Firetruck.
No.
Find your tickets. Use the code FIRETRUCKER at checkout. You'll get a discount, which helps out the show, just by getting the tickets that you already wanted. They actually had row 4 seats for the game this coming Saturday for under $100.
Oh, it's a heck of a deal,
it's a great deal. So get over there and grab your tickets. Let's go over last week's game, Superfan.
Yeah, this one I think surprised most anyone in Pick'em. I don't know anyone.
Everyone's winning streak came crashing in.
Exactly. Somewhere Josh Smith from Podski Wee Wee is all excited. Hamilton taking this one 30-13 over Winnipeg.
Wow. Now Nichols got hurt.
Yeah, he did hurt his hand,
which definitely played a role as far as the second half. But Hamilton just came out, had a game. Speedy B, huge return. Yeah. Like he's making a
he's
killing
relevant
as a receiver.
Again. Yeah,
he's relevant.
Yeah. He was kind of off the map there for a little bit, but June Jones is utilizing him completely different, and he's making an impact again.
What do you guys think of the onside kick?
That was a great call.
That was
brilliant call.
And Speedy B is the perfect guy to do it because he just took off.
Yep.
With their kicker out, perfect time to call it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great call.
Brilliant call. And Mazzoli, again, a great game. Like you said earlier, he's just playing very well. You said that in the Periscope. 27 of 33. So that is just amazing. All right, next game.
All right, so the next game we have the Saskatchewan-Toronto game. They had, anyway, Saskatchewan winning this one 27-24.
I say again, Toronto, you had one job. Mm-hmm. Bridge did make a difference in this game.
Yeah, Kevin came out a little flat, it looked like, and Bridge certainly provided a spark. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but from what I could see, it was a different offense when he was in there.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
They just seemed to rise up. You could see the belief they had when he comes in, and I don't know what it's going to take. I know he's a Canadian, but he played in that American system, and he's obviously got the goods, so why is he not getting starts?
Oh, he's won. Didn't he win his other start? So might as well give him a chance.
I think he does start next week. I think he should.
Yeah.
Well, he brings a totally different element than Kevin does now.
Sure he does.
Kevin used to be able to move around a little bit. Like, he never ran a lot.
No.
But he could move around and get out of the pocket if he needed to. But he doesn't do that as much anymore. And Brandon can certainly do that quite well.
Well, and I think that was the difference when he came in. The Argos had to change their entire defensive plan to you have to cover receivers, but the quarterback could just run on his own too.
Yeah.
So it made a huge difference,
absolutely.
And I mean, Kevin Glenn's 74 now, so I mean,
he's
going to retire.
Exactly.
Been in the league longer than my dad.
Yeah.
And Marquise Jackson again puts on another show. So, man, I tell you, Toronto is looking scary, which is going to be important, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute or two.
And the last game, of course, other than our own, we had Ottawa, BC, taking this one 30-25.
What a game, and boy, on Thanksgiving weekend, it gave us something to be thankful about. Thank you, Ottawa. Harris, and man, I tell you, that he just was amazing. The Red Blacks, they fell down early. I believe they were down 19 at one point.
Say BC had a 19-point lead and let it slip away, and that's got to be...
Which is usually what Red Blacks do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
just last week.
I know.
Especially with that, was it 25-7-1 West versus East?
Yeah.
I just thought for sure. As soon as I saw that score, I'm like, okay, that's over.
Yeah.
And I feel for guys like Brian Walrish and at BC Lions. Then this has been a tough task season for them. I think they interviewed Solomon Elimimian at one point after the game, and he said as long as he's been with the club, they've always made the playoffs, and it's going to be very strange for him if at this rate they seem to be conceding they're not making it.
No, they've got the longest streak going, don't they?
They do.
20-some years or
they
whatever
did.
it is. Well. Valid.
Nice, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's still a mathematical chance, but
it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have tough. Do you think it's just in BC's head as the running backs, as the Red Blacks started to come back, that it just kind of got in their head a bit?
Tightened up, maybe?
Seems, I mean, it happened to us last year, too,
Sure
right? Against
did.
Hamilton. It's
absolutely.
Once it starts, it's tough to stop.
That game didn't happen.
Yeah, that game did not. Yeah,
my therapist told me.
Nice. All right, well, let's get to our game preview. The Esks are headed back home to face those Argos in a big matchup on the brick field at Commonwealth Stadium. And, of course, it is the pink game as well. Now, the tailgate, which is powered by PowerWorks Electric, will be open around 2:30 or so. And I believe we're having chili in a bread bowl?
Chili in a bread bowl. Come on down.
We are trying new things every week, I tell you. All right, let's start with some keys to this game as they go into it. We'll start with you this time, Matt.
Well, first, I always see the tweet while I'm standing in the locker room waiting to do something. I always will scroll through my Twitter feed and see, like, meatball sub, poutine. I'm like, oh, man, I'm starving here. But
you got to sneak out.
Yeah.
Just like an hour and a half before, we'll be there.
Just get your brother to come on down, bring him back.
On the house, yeah.
That's usually when we're out with the kickers around that time.
Oh, goodness.
But at any rate, key for me, anytime you're playing Toronto, Ricky, even though he's older now, he's still Ricky. I think Chris Jones said the exact same thing last week. He's still the key that starts the engine there for Toronto. And we've seen this year that he's got a lot of capable weapons, and they spread the ball around a lot.
No kidding.
So being able to get to him, pressure him a little bit, get him off tilt and uncomfortable, I think that's going to be a big key to the game is getting some pressure and keeping him off balance.
Absolutely. Super fan.
Yeah, I mean, that's some great points. That front four, especially that front seven, is going to need to be on their game for us this coming game. And that linebacking core, we have to stop James Wilder.
Yeah.
He ran wild, pardon the pun, over us last game, and that was sort of his coming out. And we can't let him do that again. If he does that, I mean, 200 yards this last game versus Montreal and rushing, we can't have another game like that again. That Ricky Ray to SJ Green combination is just lethal, and he's got other weapons as well. So if we can at least limit them to be a little more one-dimensional, if Brandon Thompson is coming back, I think that's going to do really well for us. So we just, at least if we can force them to have to go vertical, then we've got a better chance.
Absolutely. And my key to the game is very similar to what you guys said, but I'm going to switch it around the other way, and the fact that the offense needs to get going, and they need to have a balanced attack and keep Toronto's offense off the field. I think that's going to be huge for us, especially against a Toronto D that has improved. Our offensive line is going to have their work cut out for them, as that Toronto front four has been amazing. I'm not really looking forward to going up against Victor Butler again after the last time we played them. So I think that if we can get some extended drives, though, and we keep Ricky on the sidelines, we're much more likely to have success in this game. The other part is, of course, we know if we're going to sit down and compare the two teams, the special teams on the Argos definitely beat us out by quite a bit. So we're really going to have some focus on some special teams this particular week. Is there a player in particular that you're going to be watching this game, Superfan?
Yeah, I sort of focus on him a bit this last game, and that's Colin Kelly, who's our right tackle on the offensive line. I think he got beat a couple of times quite badly, and that forced some pressures. I'd like to see him have a bit of a bounce back game. He hasn't had a great season this year. It's certainly a hard spot, that right tackle position, as the left tackle is, but we need definitely some help there to give Riley or Franklin, whoever it happens to be, that extra second or so he can find that receiver. So I'm hoping to see a bit of a bounce back from him.
All right, fair enough. Matt, somebody you're going to be looking at.
It'd be nice if Corey Jones is back. I think that'll be a big help for us in the interior. So I'll definitely be watching throughout the week to see if he's going to be back in.
Yes.
And hopefully he is. Sounds like he's trending that way.
Yes.
Which is good. But certainly CJ Gable as well. After a pretty good debut, take away that first play, which is sort of a nightmarish debut to begin with, a new team, but what he brought to the table today, if he can continue that moving forward, going to be a big help to the offense over the next month and a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I'm going to be keeping my eye on the defensive line in this game. I couldn't pick an exact player, but if I was going to pick one, I'd probably pick Euclid, only because we just got to talk to him, and the guy is a beast, and he's awesome.
And underrated. I mean, he's a guy that everyone talks about Mondo.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Odell, but
I even talked about it when I interviewed him. Hey, you got to play with Mondo, and he was all excited about that. But, whoops! But I do think that he plays a key role, especially those two really play well together. And with the return of Hunt and the balance that actually gave for Odell to get around,
we'll see if Hunt plays though.
I think that I would think though, after the success
with
of
the
this
short
week,
turnaround. I mean, they were talking that they were resting Chick because it's a short turnaround, and Chick will probably start next week.
Well, I hope that I go with the one that got you there. The success is there. And I do think that they're going to need, like you said, that run defense. So that defensive line is going to be huge in getting some pressure this coming week for sure. All right, let's talk about our pick'em in all of the games for this week. You can, of course, join the group with the link that we post. Leaders this week, C. Vincent up into first place, TXA into second, Hugo Agogo into third, T. Lee in fourth, and Thomas Pine in fifth. Now, again, I do want to remind you, we did get some swag from Max at the CFL to give away for the winner of the pick'em this year, and we're getting into the crunch right now. So I'm up to 10th all of a sudden.
I forgot to put in my pick, so actually that probably helped me because
I think you just stayed in like 20th-ish.
Yeah,
so
I would
you
have dropped like a stone if I had.
Exactly. So well done. Hey. Yeah, the Ottawa pick is really what helped me out this particular week.
Let's hear it for that early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's wonderful. No, you're not allowed. Okay, so our first game this week, Calgary versus Hamilton. This is in the Hammer. Superfan, who do you got?
Do I really need to say it?
Yeah.
You know what? I think June Jones and that Hamilton team has really started to turn things around. And I think being at home, they're going to make it close. Who knows if they can catch the Stampeders on an off day, but I don't know. It just seems like the Stampeders are chasing that record that Edmonton's had since 1989 of going 16-2. They would love to go 16-1-1 in that season and just show them up, but if I recall, 1989 wasn't the greatest year for us in the playoffs. So if that's the
case,
wasn't
good
playoffs
for them. That year.
That's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the Stampeders are just trying way too hard to make sure this sucker is going to be won, and that's going to go Calgary.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that, and especially since I know two completely different teams, but from the first meeting, but it was a 60-1 drubbing. Mm-hmm. I do think playing in Hamilton, having won 4 of their last 6, Hamilton is going to put up a better fight.
Yep.
But Calgary, they're not as dominant maybe as they were last year even, right. But they're doing enough to win. And I think maybe they might come out a little bit slower off the bye. Who knows? But I think ultimately they win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Stamps win this one as well. And I agree with you, Mike. I think they are going for 16-1-1. And I hope it turns out for them the same way it did for us.
Not having the playoffs?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. The only playoffs happen in the East when we cross over and then we win.
Excellent.
It's lovely.
Ooh, a Calgary-Edmonton Grey Cup would be interesting.
That would be fun.
Oh, that actually
only if we win.
That actually makes me nervous. That goes back to what Terry Jones said last week. You don't want your wife or your team in the Grey Cup, and I'm not really sure I want them in for that particular scenario.
Yeah, but he had his team in the Grey Cup 9 times in 10 years,
True.
and
as long as
we
they
won 6 of them.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Ottawa versus Saskatchewan. This one happening out in the Ryder Bowl. Who do you got in that one, Matt?
This one's a tough one,
mm-hmm.
actually. And I know Saskatchewan's been a little bit up and down as we have. They've played all right lately. I don't know. I just don't like Saskatchewan. So, I can't.
Join the club.
I can't pick Saskatchewan. So I'm going to go with Ottawa, hoping that they do us a favor. But having Trevor Harris back is a big boost to Ottawa, as we saw against Vancouver this weekend. And if they can keep it rolling, maybe they'll avenge the meltdown that they had a couple of weeks ago and do us a favor here.
All right. I would love to agree with you. I really, really would. And I've said it for the past 3 weeks. I'm going to say it again. Ottawa, you have one job. One job. I'm still picking Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan at home have played
very well,
lights out. And if they start Brandon Bridge, like I believe that they will, that offense has a completely different dynamic that I'm not sure Ottawa is quite prepared to handle. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm going to give this one, unfortunately, to the Green and Whites.
Yeah, for this one this week, I'm going to pick Ottawa to lose.
Very good.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think... You know what? This is 2 teams that have had very up and down seasons and the last couple of games. They both won last week. They both won games that maybe they were not expected to, especially late in the game. Mm-hmm. Came back to win, so they got a lot of belief on their side. I think Jones has finally got that defense really buying into his system, and they're playing lights out. Mm-hmm. And Harris versus that Saskatchewan defense is going to be interesting to watch. I think this could be a game that's decided by less than a field goal.
Entirely true. Although it'll be interesting to see if Saskatchewan has some run defense against William Powell.
Please no.
Yeah, please. Exactly. Next game is BC versus Winnipeg, and this is in Winnipeg. I'm pretty sure we're all going the same way on this one, but I am going to pick Winnipeg in this game. I think at home they have a bounce-back game. Of course, it does kind of depend if Nichols is ready to go or not, but with a full week with the weapons that team has, I would think that Winnipeg is not going to lose 2 in a row.
I don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row, but if Nichols isn't in, that's going to be very interesting. You're going to see a healthy dose of Andrew Harris. So Andrew Harris versus Solomon Elimimian. This is going to be a great battle to watch for football fans. They're just a very different team when Nichols isn't in there. You know, for a guy that's been accused of being a game manager for a large portion of his career, he's shown that he is really the straw that stirs the drink in Winnipeg. So I'm actually thinking that BC finally takes one win away from the Bombers, and I'm really thankful that they do.
Really?
I am.
Wow. All right, then.
I, too, would be thankful for that. And for me, it, as you've already pointed out, this comes down to whether Matt plays or not.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very happy to see that he's found a place where they rely on him, and he's playing really well. He's a great guy, and he's deserved his chance. And you're right. He's used to be kind of that guy you can win with, and now he's that guy you win because of.
Right.
So if he's in there, Winnipeg wins.
Yep.
Hands down, they're a better team. If he's not, BC wins. So I'm on the fence here, but I'll go just because Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg's a better team. I'll take Winnipeg.
All right, cool. And if Nichols doesn't start, we won't hold it against you to pick BC. All right, fair enough.
We have until game time to make that change,
exactly,
right?
So,
who's starting? Oh, okay, yeah. All right, and then our final game, of course, is our game itself at Commonwealth Stadium. It is Toronto versus the Edmonton Eskimos. Superfan, who do you got in this one?
You know, as everyone loves to be a bit of a homer, they definitely want to pick their team. But I honestly believe having the belief of the win this past week, and with the possible returning of Corey Jones and Brendan Thompson, I haven't even heard about Vidal Hazelton, who's finished his 6th game, but he hasn't practiced with the team. He starts practicing. Maybe we're going to see some more weapons on offense because he's a great guy cutting across the middle. I think that we do just enough to limit Wilder on defense or on offense, especially if Jones is back in the middle. And I think we take this game I'm going to say by 7.
All right. Matt.
Well, I am a homer, and I would never pick against the Eskimos. And I never have since TSN's put that pick'em together.
Yep.
And sometimes it doesn't work out in my favor. But, I'm taking, obviously, us. I think it's going to be a good game. Toronto is I know the East gets hammered on sometimes because they're not as strong as the West. But Toronto has the makings of a pretty good football team. And they're going to be a tough challenge for sure with Tressman coming in there, and he's really made a big difference in Toronto. So if we can get to Ricky, that'll be a big bonus for us. And if we can limit Wilder, we should win this one by at least a touchdown, I think,
All right. I'm going to go with the Eskimos as well, although I think it'll be a lot closer than what you guys are saying. I think this is going to come down to a couple point lead one way or the other. Only because I think even with the guys returning, they're returning not at mid-season speed. You know what I mean? And they're going up against guys that have been healthy.
They've been practicing for a couple of weeks, though, which is what I like.
That does help, but I still think that's different when you get into game action.
Game speed completely.
And when you've got,
practice as
S.J. Green, running down the field and Ricky Ray there, it could cause problems. But I do think that there is enough belief in the locker room now. I believe that they are coming home. They do want to win one for the fans here and kind of get back on a winning track there.
Win one for the checker.
Exactly. So I'm going to say that the Eskimos squeak this one out, but I will pick them to win that game. All right, you can join our CFL Fantasy as well. I had a great week this week, 138 points in fantasy.
Done.
I was kind of impressed. Now, in that league, our leader still is N. Hodge, but Empire Andrew up into second and City of Champs in third. One good week.
I will say really I moved up into 6th. At one point, I was like 45th.
So
I've climbed
you're
back
climbing up there. You're getting up there.
Striking distance.
Exactly. Yeah. I just showed in 1 week you can move up 2 spots, so it doesn't take much.
Yep.
Now you can join us in the Eskimo Empire Podcast League, or of course the Canadian Football Pod Network against all of your favorite podcasters. Matt, do you have a fantasy guy that you're kind of going to this week?
I will continue to take and have since the start of the year Brandon Zielstra.
Yeah, he always seems to be worth the $6,000
fantasy beast. Yeah, he just puts up points.
Yeah, absolutely. Super fan.
I mean, for our own team, you can't go wrong with CJ Gable. I think he's going to learn more of the playbook, and he's going to be even more deadly on offense for us, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, if Hamilton wasn't going up against Calgary, I would say that this might be a good week to pick Brandon Banks, because he seems to be getting more and more involved. Yeah, absolutely. I do still think that William Powell is probably a great pick going up against Saskatchewan. He's starting to get up into the higher ranges as far as cost is concerned, but there is definitely a reason to kind of look at him for sure this week. So I would kind of lean that way. All right. Well, thank you, Matt, for coming down and joining us and sharing all of your stories.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Loved it. It's so much fun to have you here. Where does everybody find you on Twitters and all those other fun things?
Well, if you want to follow me, I'm at Matt Mandrusiak on Twitter. My Instagram is probably not worth following anyways, unless you like Disney or football, then I guess that's okay.
Those are good things.
But yeah, mostly you can find me on Twitter. I'm somewhat active on there.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. Super fan.
They can find me at 56 Parkies, and of course the history at Esks History.
Exactly. And you can find me at Freepalicious or at Esk Empire Pod, as always, mostly the second one.
Yeah.
But still, make sure you find us on all of our social channels, which you can find all the links for on eskempire.ca. Our Patreon link is there as well. And thank you, as always, to all of our Hall of Famers in that. The show is back next week, and we'll be joined by someone. I should probably get on booking that.
Yes, please.
I have a couple ideas.
Yes.
Oh, it might be very exciting.
It could be.
Building up to Podcast Sweeps Week.
That's
all right. Which doesn't exist, just so everybody knows, but it is funny for me to say it out loud. All right. Well, can the Esks build off that second half performance and get better for this game?
Absolutely.
Is Gable the key to this offense having continued success? Absolutely. And is it time to win one at home and lock up a playoff spot? Absolutely. For Webmistress Kayla and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.